A common supplement for hair loss, anxiety, sleep, Cushing's, and even cancer. Find out what it is, what dose, and how you could be using it to help your dog or cat. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. If you've yet to do so, I encourage you to click up there to subscribe. Click down there to sign up for notifications. And then when you click the link further in the box below and then you sign up for my newsletter, I can send you my free books and my free videos on how to heal your pets at home with my top natural remedies. So do you guys know that there is a sleep hormone? It's the main hormone your body produces, your dog or your cat's body would produce to sort of bring your brain into that sleep cycle and to actually to help you sleep. It's hard to believe, Tula, there is such a thing. The name of that hormone, it's called melatonin. So melatonin, which is this, starts out as tryptophan, an amino acid found in things such as meat, such as milk, gets converted into a hormone called serotonin in the brain, and then with exposure from the pineal gland is then converted into this, melatonin, also known as the sleep hormone. But our hormones have a huge effect on sort of what's going on with the internal processes of ourselves, of our dogs, of our cats, directly correlated with a whole host of different diseases when you talk about hormonal or metabolic imbalances. So it sort of makes sense that perhaps, we start to look at the underlying causes of the disease. Perhaps we can use some of these naturally occurring hormones, to treat some of the ones. And it just so happens melatonin exactly fits that bill. Doses of the melatonin range, when we're looking at dogs, we're looking at about 1 milligram per 20 pounds of body weight, given sort of twice daily. It can be given up to a maximum of 3 times a day. But there is a range of doses. It kind of goes all over. I mean, some people are, suggesting, 1 milligram per 10 pounds. And then the dose really ranges. In general, we kind of look at the lowest effective dose. So for instance here, I've got this melatonin tablet. It's actually used in our house for my wife and our kids. And these are 5 milligram tablets. So, Tula being 20 pounds, I would be inclined to give her a really low dose, a fifth of one of these tablets. So 1 milligram, and I'd be starting that at twice a day. So I kind of have to score these. You can generally get it as 1 milligram, 3 milligram, and, up to 10 milligram size tablets. Melatonin can also be used for cats, and once again we're looking at a little bit higher doses, somewhere between 1 to 3 milligrams, and that's given sort of 2 to 3 times a day. Generally, it's a pretty safe supplement or medication to be giving to your dog or cat. For sure, you want to first discuss this with your veterinarian. In terms of looking at some of the side effects, generally there's fairly few. You can get sort of GI stuff, upset stomach, vomiting, diarrhea. It can affect fertility. It's very documented to potentially interact with corticosteroids. So if your dog is on, say, prednisone, for instance, be it an allergy, or maybe your dog has some immune-mediated condition, such as pemphigus or something, then you want to make sure you're discussing with your vet, because what can happen, it can sort of alter the effectiveness of the steroid, not making it be as effective. So it might make those autoimmune conditions worsen. So what would you be using melatonin for? Well, the first big clue, hair loss. I can't speak to it with people, but I can speak to it with our dogs and cats. So there's a couple of different veterinary conditions that can respond to melatonin. There's one called alopecia X, which just means there's often this symmetric bilateral hair loss, especially along here, along the flanks, the side of the belly. Typically, it could be some of the small breeds, such as the Pomeranians. And, we don't know the underlying cause, hence alopecia X. We think it's hormone related, and sure enough, you can supplement these guys with melatonin. Their hair can grow back. Secondary too, you can get a type of hair loss. It can be some of the larger northern breeds, say for instance, a Husky, a Malamute, where your dog has been clipped, say for instance, just, at a groomer or veterinary procedure, say we've had to clip, the back leg for whatever, a laceration repair, and that hair is not growing back. So I think there's some sort of correlation there because we know melatonin plays a role with hair regrowing and hair growth. Once again, those dogs may respond to melatonin treatment. If sleep is an issue with your older dog, for instance, maybe that your older dog has a condition called cognitive dysfunction, essentially canine dementia. And one of the common secondary signs is these guys just are up at night at pacing. They really have difficulty going to sleep. So one of your options with that, aside from me, which is meaning drinking less caffeine, assuming your dog's not on caffeine, is then adding in melatonin as a remedy. And lots of guys really respond well to it. Many people are using melatonin as a sleep aid as well. One of the big things then is you need to be giving it about an hour before you're going to be going to sleep, getting into that sort of natural rhythm. So that would mean doing that similar with your dog. So it may just be doing it, in the evening when about an hour before you expect your dog to be falling asleep. Say you guys have a dog that won't stop eating, is drinking more water than normal, smaller breed, perhaps some symmetric hair loss, maybe kind of a distended potbelly abdomen. Your dog might have a disease called Cushing's disease or hyperadrenocorticism. Just means your dog is producing too much of a steroid hormone called cortisol. So that cortisol is causing all those clinical signs. It can be a more difficult disease to treat. Veterinary-wise, you're looking at medications. An older one is called Lysergin, pretty toxic. A newer one is called Trilostane, more effective, but it still means lifelong medication to suppress too high production of cortisol. So one of the treatments that I was just reading about is actually melatonin, and proving to be very helpful, especially when we're dealing with some of these mild cases. So if you've got a dog, for instance, that's sort of borderline, being diagnosed with Cushing's disease, you're kind of looking at maybe I could try some type of natural alternative treatment. Melatonin would be a great one to consider. Tula, I'm gonna go now. So another and fourth option to consider is for use of some of the anxiety disorders. So if your dog gets especially distressed when you choose to leave the house, there's whining, pacing, barking, all those whole host of potential problems, you could consider melatonin as another form of potential treatment. I know she doesn't look that stressed. It doesn't look like there's a lot of anxiety. But at times there is, and there are times when potentially Tula would benefit from melatonin. Melatonin, it can also be used for our cats. Primarily when I've seen it used in cats, and we've got this idiopathic alopecia. So primarily when it's been used in cats, when I've used it in cats, is for this sort of idiopathic alopecia. They've got hair loss along the base of their legs, the base of the tail. It's non-allergenic. We're sort of at a loss, like what else can you potentially try? I've used melatonin in vet practice and found the cats responding quite well to it. Then lastly, the one disease that's probably got the biggest potential, it's most exciting, is the use of melatonin for treating cancer in our dogs and cats. Surprisingly, there's a pile of research on it done in people for a whole array of different cancers. I'm going to put a couple of links in the description to some of the particular studies, some of those review studies. But it covers a whole range of cancers. One of the studies focuses on mammary cancer or breast cancer in our dogs. And it ranges from preventing cancer from starting in the first place, from affecting apoptosis while causing cell death, making the cancer more likely to respond to chemotherapy, so used in conjunction with chemotherapy, as well as prevention and inhibition of metastases, where the cancer can spread to distant areas in the body. So really, there's a big range of potential really big benefits. And it's one, honestly, I've never really been aware of. So it's yet to sort of make its way within veterinary medicine. So thanks you guys so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets. I hope you found it informative and helpful. If you yet to do so, I'd love for you to click up there to subscribe, click down there to like this video, and lastly, when you click the link further in the box below, I can send you my free books and my free videos, how to heal your pets at home with my top natural remedies.